Today we are going to discuss Gordon's model of dividend. I think so long back when we looked at Walter's model. Walter and Gordon's model are the models which suggest that dividend has an impact on the market price of a share. There is one more model of Modigilani Midda, MM model, which says that dividend and the market value of shares are not related. And therefore, Walters and Gordon's model, they are called as relevant theory models. So, because they are called relevant theory models, because these people suggested that market value of a share is affected by the dividend policy of their firm. Okay. This model is called Gordon's model because it was given out, proposed by Myron Gordon, who said that dividend policy is relevant and can affect the value of the shares. Value of the shares is the same as the meaning of value of the firm. It is based on all the assumptions that Walter's model had, which was basically that organizations use only internal funding. That means they are not going to get funding from debt or any other source. And all the funding comes from the issue of equity shares. And the firm adopts 100% dividend payout policy. There is no tax and so on and so forth. So all those assumptions are assumptions of Gordon. In addition, he has got two other models. Let's take off this. So therefore, what are the additional assumptions in this model? They are two. One is, here the growth rate of the firm is assumed to be the product of retention ratio P and the rate of return R. So K, growth rate of the firm is equal to P into R, where P is retention ratio and R is internal rate of return, IRR of the firm. And P is retention ratio. So what is retention ratio? How much of the earnings of the firm are retained by the firm? So therefore, if a firm has a dividend payout policy of 50%, it means 50% is paid, 50% is retained. If the organization has a payout policy of 80%, it means 80% is paid, 20% is retained. So therefore, retained is how much of the earnings of the firm is retaining, which is given by the abbreviation B, and G is equal to B cube. The other is this model assumes that the cost of capital KE is more than the growth rate. Okay. I will tell you why it is so. The cost of capital is constant and it is equal to, and it is more than the growth rate of the firm. So Gordon's model has all the assumptions of Walter's model plus two assumptions. The first assumption is growth rate of the firm is product of retention ratio and rate of return, G is equal to PR, and next is K is greater than G. Now, basis of Gordon's model is a concept known as bird in the hand argument. Now, what is a bird in hand argument? A bird in hand argument is that you value a bird which is in your hand much more than many which may be there in the bush. Okay, so I value what is in my hand rather than what I may receive over a period of time. So an organization, when it earns returns, then it can give dividends partly, and it can retain some money for later period. So therefore, a company, let's say that it doesn't pay dividend. What it does, it doesn't pay dividend but retains that for growth. And therefore, as the organization puts that money in the organization's activities, the share price of the firm increases. And increase in the share price of the firm, we call that as capital gains. Okay, so if you ask investors mostly are risk averse. What's the meaning of risk averse? Given a chance, these people would not want to take risk. And therefore, because investors are risk averse, he values dividend given today much more than the return he gets by capital gains. So we are not sure whether the share price of the firm is going to increase over time because of the investments of the firm. For example, let's say that today in the COVID times, a large number of organizations, very well run organizations, their share prices are very, very low. And therefore, if you were an investor who invested in this firm and the firm did not give dividend, you have not received dividend and you are also not getting capital gain. So therefore, a risk averse investor is an investor who is trying to, if possible, not take risk. And therefore, for him to take risk, he should have certain return. And therefore, he gets two returns. One is dividend, the other is capital gains. Now, he values the dividends that he receives today much more than the future gains which may or may not have. And therefore, that argument that dividends are more valuable than the capital gains is given the name bird in the hand argument. There is a phrase, idiom and phrase you would have heard, a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. Okay. So therefore here a rupee of dividend that I receive today for me is more valuable than maybe several rupees I may get in the form of capital gains. But why I am not so much interested in capital gains is because they are uncertain. Future is uncertain and therefore future capital gains are uncertain. And therefore this argument that investors put more value to the dividend is the basic premise or basic assumption of the Gordon's model. So therefore let's read out the theory which is mentioned here, which is what I have mentioned only for the sake of some clarity. Gordon has built the model on the basic assumption that investors are basically risk averse. Now, meaning of risk averse is given a chance he will avoid risk. He is not a risk hater. He is a risk averse. All investors are supposed to be risk averse. And they evaluate the future dividends and capital gains as a risky and uncertain. Okay, future gains uncertain. Now, you may be an excellent organization, but basic functioning of the organization may be affected by external forces. So you may be a telecom company and telecom as a sector may be in difficulty. So you are, let's say, in the airline industry and today airline industry is in deep problem. So therefore, if you are somebody who has invested in aviation like not Indian Airlines, Indigo, and then you find share price of Indigo has fallen significantly. So then therefore you have no capital gain and also you may not have dividend. That's the situation people are imagining. Dividends are more predictable than capital gain. Why? They are giving and it's with me and therefore that is a bird in hand. What's the bird in hand for you? Dividend. Okay. Worth two in the bush means what you may get in terms of capital gains is what is there in the bush. In other words, the investor values current dividends more highly than expected future gain. So what is dividend is more valuable to him than expected gain. This is the argument which has made him to come out with the suggestion saying that all organizations which pay regular dividend and higher dividend, they may have a higher market price than similar organizations who are same in all respect except the dividend policy. So therefore, given two firms A and B who are similar in most of the other respect, a firm A which pays more dividend will be more value in the marketplace than the firm B which basically believes in giving less dividend and giving more capital gain. Okay. The equation for finding the price of a share, current market price of share is given by this equation, E to 1 minus B divided by KE minus BR. We know what is BR. BR is growth rate of the firm. And previously they have mentioned KE should be more than BR. Why KE should be more than BR? It is because if KE is less than BR, this value becomes negative and therefore price also becomes negative. So therefore the assumption, the growth rate of the firm is less than KE. KE is more than BR, that's the assumption. So here P is the market price of share, E is the earnings per share of the firm, B is the retention ratio. Retention ratio is 1 minus payout ratio. What is payout ratio? How much of your earnings you are giving as dividend. Let's say that you earn 10 rupees and you give 2 rupees dividend, 2 out of 10, 20%, that's the payout ratio. If 20% is payout ratio, how much is the retention ratio? 1 minus 0.2, 0.8 or 80%. R is the rate of return on investment of the firm and K is cost of equity capital. and G is growth rate of the firm. Okay, G is equal to BR. This is the assumption which we saw a little while ago. So therefore, Gordon's model is this: P is equal to E into 1 minus P divided by KE minus PR. Okay. Now let us take up a small example to become slightly conversant with this formula, and for that let us take this problem. The following information is available in respect of XYZ Limited. EPS is 10 rupees, cost of capital is 10% or 0.1. Find out the market price of the share and the different rates of return. When R is 8, 10 and 15 for different payout ratios, 0%, 40%, 80% and 100%. For the three situations, when R is 8, 10 and 50, and for different payout ratios, 0, 40, 80 and 100%, we have to find market price, this price. For illustration purpose, let us take a situation when R is 15% and payout ratio is 40%. R 15% and payout ratio is 40% means retention ratio is 1 minus 40% or 60% or 0.6. And growth rate of the firm is G is equal to P into R. P retention ratio is 0.6, R the rate of return is 15, 0.6 into 0.15, that is equal to 0.09. Therefore, we substitute E is 10, 1 minus D is 0.6, KE is 0.10 and DR is 0.09. If we substitute in this equation, the price that we get is 400. Okay, and therefore this is the way we calculate. Let us take up another example. 8%, R is 8%, payout ratio is 80%. Payout ratio 80% means out of earnings, whatever the firm has 10 rupees, 80% is paid out as dividend means 80% of 10 or 8 rupees. Retention ratio is 2 rupees. It's because 1 minus 0.8. Okay. 1 minus 0.8 is 0.2. Okay. This payout ratio is 0.8 and retention ratio is 1 minus 0.8 or 0.2. We substitute that in this equation. P is equal to E is 10 rupees. 1 minus B. 1 minus B, P is 0.2. Here we have found out 1 minus 0.2. This is KE. KE is cost of capital is 10% or 0.1. We have substituted that here. Then B into R. Okay. B into R we have calculated here. What is B into R? That's the growth rate of the firm. Okay. That is equal to B. B is 0.2 and R is 8%, 0.08. 0.2 into 0.08 is 0.016. We have substituted for that here. So we get a P of rupees 95. So therefore, to find out price based on this formula is fairly easy. It's just a substitution. Key in the values and you'll get the price. What you need to be little careful is the calculation of the growth rate of the firm and the relationship between payout ratio and retention ratio. 1 minus payout ratio. 1 minus payout ratio is retention ratio. So 1 minus payout ratio is 40% or 0.4. 1 minus 0.4 is 0.6, which is the retention ratio. Let us put that value. If you were to put the values as asked in the example over there. So we have been asked when R is 8%, 10% and 15% and payout ratios are 0, 40 and 80. 0, 40, 80 and 100. If you substitute, you will get these kind of values. Okay. So R equal to 50. If the payout percentage is 0%, the price is 0. If the dividend payout ratio is 40%, price is 400. If the dividend payout ratio is 80%, price is 140.3. 100%, it is 100 rupees. Okay. Now here when R equal to 10%, the price are 0, 100, 100 and 100 based on the payout ratios. When R equal to 8%, the price is 0 when DP is 0%. Price is 77 when payout ratio is 40%. And price is 95 when payout is 80% and 100 rupees when payout is 100%. If you carefully observe when R equal to 15%, as I pay more and more, okay, as I pay more and more, my price is decreasing. When R equal to 15%, when rate of return is 15%, if I pay 100% of dividend, price is 100. If I pay 80% of the dividend, 80% as dividend, my price is 114. If I pay 40% dividend, the price is 400. If I don't pay dividend, the price is 0. The price is 0 whenever the payout ratio is 0. It means a firm which doesn't pay dividend according to Gordon model, the price should be 0. Okay. What's the assumption? The assumption is the investors are not looking at firms which do not pay dividend. When R equal to 10%, the price is 100 rupees irrespective of the payout percentage, whether it is 40, 80 or 100, the price 100% payout ratio, the price is 100 only. Okay. And when R is 8%, it goes like this. When 0% payout ratio, price is 0, 40% payout ratio, price is 77, 80% price payout ratio, 95, 100% payout ratio, 100 rupees. Okay. Now let's look at what is the situation in R equal to 15, R equal to 10 and R equal to 8%. If you go carefully, what is our cost of capital? 10, okay, 10% or 0.1. Okay, so let's look at this. What's our cost of capital? 10%. What's the return we are earning? 15%. Okay, so my cost is 10, I am earning at the rate of 15%. So that means I am earning more than what is my cost, and therefore I should retain as much as possible. I should retain as much earning as possible. When the payout percentage is 40%, it means what? It means out of 10 rupees that I earn, 4 rupees I give as dividend. Okay. What's the meaning of 80%? Out of 10 rupee earning, I am giving 8 rupees dividend. 100% means 10 rupee, I am giving 10 rupee dividend. All the dividend I earn, I am giving. Now look at this. When R equal to 15%, I am earning at a rate higher than the cost of capital. And therefore, I am in a better position than the investors. The investors can earn at a rate of 10%, whereas I am earning at the rate of 15%. So between me, who is earning 15%, and the investors who are earning at 10%, I am in a better position. So therefore, I need to have the capital rather than the investor. So therefore, as when I pay all that earn, 10 rupee earn, 10 rupees given as dividend, price is 100. Out of 10 rupees, I give 8 rupees dividend, 114 rupees. Out of 10 rupee earning, I am giving 4 rupees dividend, my price is 400. That means what? What is the suggestion here? When you earn at a rate higher than the cost of capital, the price increases. The price of the share of the company increases as I pay less and less. Okay, this is 100% payment. 10 rupee earning, 10 rupee dividend. This is 10 rupee earning, 8 rupees dividend. This is 10 rupee earning, 4 rupees dividend. So as I move from bottom to top, I am paying more and more dividend. As I pay more and more dividend, what is happening? Price of the share is increasing. And that is the case when R is equal to 15%, which is more than the cost of capital. Let's look at R equal to 8%. What is this situation? The firm is earning at 10%, cost of capital is 10%. Whereas I am earning at the rate of 8%. So I have the capability to earn at 8%, whereas the investors can earn the rate of 10%. Therefore, between me and the investor is in a better position. And therefore, if I were to give dividend to him, he is better. And therefore, market price of the share should increase. Okay. So let us look at this situation. I earn 10 rupees. I don't give dividend. If you don't pay dividend in Gordon model, your dividend being 0 indicates phi is also 0. Second, out of 10 I give 4 rupees dividend, price is 77. When out of 10 rupees I give 8 rupees dividend, price is 95. Out of 10 rupees dividend, 10 rupees earning, I am giving all the 10 rupees as dividend. Okay, price is 100. It means what? When you earn at a rate less than that of the cost of capital, you are earning at 8% and you are earning at a rate less than 10%. That means that you are doing inferior. You are inferior investor compared to the investor. The company is an inferior investor. So therefore, if you were to pay more and more dividend, then the price increases. When R is less than K, you will get higher and higher prices when you pay more and more dividend. So you are paying more and more dividend, you see. Okay. The third situation is when you earn at 10%, cost of capital is also 10%. So whether you have the money or the investors have the money, it doesn't make any difference. And therefore the price is 100 rupees irrespective of cost of payout ratio. You give 4 rupees dividend, price is 100. You give 8 rupees dividend, 100. 10 rupees dividend, 100. So therefore when R is equal to K, the price will remain the same irrespective of the payout policy. To give in general terms, the idea is when R equal to R greater than K, you are earning better than investors, and therefore money should be with you. And therefore, when you pay more and more dividend, the price of your share comes down. When R is less than K, it means the firm is earning at a rate less than the investors. So therefore, when you pay more and more dividend, price of the share increases. When R equal to K, you earn at the same rate as that of investors. So therefore, whether you retain or you pay, it doesn't make any difference. Whether the payout ratio is 40, 80 or 100 or 60, 70, whatever in between, the price will be 100 only. Here, when R is greater than K, as you pay more and more dividend, price decreases. When R is less than K, your price decreases as you pay more, the price increases as you pay more and more. That is what is mentioned here. It can be seen that if the firm adopts a zero payout, then the investor may not be willing to offer any price. Okay. So zero payout policies, the price will be zero. Why it is zero? Why it is zero is because 1 minus here the payout ratio, retention ratio is equal to 1 minus payout ratio. Okay. So if the payout ratio is 100%, okay, if the firm gives all the amount, okay, 1 minus 100% payout ratio. 100% payout ratio means B will be equal to 1 minus 1, 0. Okay. So therefore this figure becomes 0. Okay. So the numerator becomes 0. Let us look at carefully. Payout ratio is 0%. Okay. When the payout ratio is 0%, what will be the retention ratio? 1. Okay. Retention ratio will be equal to 1. So retention ratio equal to 1 means 1 minus 1. This will be 0. Okay. So Gordon's conclusion. So this is what Walter also says. When we have R greater than KE, such firms are called as growth firms. When R less than KE, they are called as declining firm. When R equal to K, such firms are called as normal firms. What should growth-oriented firms do? Growth-oriented firms should pay less and less dividend for their shares to increase. So here 100% dividend they are giving, price is 100. 80% they give, 80% payout. Out of 10 rupees, 8 rupees they give dividend, price is higher. Out of 10 they give 4 rupees, still higher. So therefore a growth firm should pay less and less dividend. R less than K means return is less than cost of capital. These are declining firm. What will happen in a declining firm? As you pay more and more dividend, the price of the share increases. Why does it increase? Because whatever dividend is given by this firm, the investor is able to invest at 10%, whereas the firm is only 8%. Okay. Now let us do some number crunching here. Let's look at this example. Okay. The following information is available in respect of the rate of return on investment, cost of capital and earning per share of the ABC company. R is 15%, 12% and 10. Three situations of R, and cost of capital is 12%, earnings per share is 12. Determine the value of its share using Gordon model, assuming the following. This is DP ratio. If they give this, no need to give this, but typically I have seen number of books giving both. Okay, so once you are given this, this means 1 minus this. Okay, so dividend payout ratio is 100, means whatever is earned is given as dividend. If whatever is earned is given as dividend, it means firm retains nothing, 0%. If firm pays 80% as dividend, how much does it retain? 20%. If firm gives 40% of its earnings, 60% is retained. Okay, that's what we have put in this equation. R 15, R 12, R is 8%. These are the three scenarios. Then we have calculated the values for each of this. Okay. Within R greater than K, we have got here dividend payout ratio is 100%. Let's take one particular column first. When dividend payout ratio is 100%, it means B is 0. Okay. So therefore, the price is E into 1 minus B. B is 0. Okay. 10 into 1 is 1. 0.12 into BR. Okay. What is BR? B is 0 and R is 15%. So therefore, 0.12 minus 0 into 0.15 is 0. So therefore, what it becomes? 10 into 1 becomes 10. 0.12 minus 0 becomes 0.12. 10 divided by 0.12 is 83.33. Okay. Now that's about substitution. Now look at the interpretation of this. When R is equal to 50, then we are earning at a rate higher than that of cost of capital. What's the cost of the capital? The cost of capital is 12%. So therefore, I am earning at a rate 15% more than 15% is more than 12%. So therefore, what kind of a firm is this? R equal to 15%? It is a growth-oriented firm. Okay. Now, when DP ratio is 100%, price is 83. When it is 80%, price is 88. When the payout ratio is 40%, price is 133. When for a growth-oriented firm, as I pay less and less, so here I am paying 10 out of 10 rupees as dividend. Here I am paying 8 out of 10 rupees. And here I am paying 4 out of 10 rupees. As I pay less and less, the price of the share is increasing. It was 83 for 100%, 80% it is 88, and for 40% it is 133. The opposite of that is this firm R equal to 8%. What is this firm? It's earning at 8%, whereas the cost is 12%. So it is earning at a rate less than its cost of capital. So this is a firm which is a declining firm. Now here, when we pay 100% dividend, the price is 83. If I pay 80%, if I adopt 80% payout ratio, price is 80. If I adopt 40% payout ratio, it is 66. So what is the meaning? As I pay more and more amount of dividend, the price is increasing. 40% means 4 rupees out of 10 rupees. If I pay dividend, price is 66. Here 80% payout means 8 rupees out of 10 rupees I am giving as dividend. Price is 80. Here 100% dividend, 10 rupee is earned and 10 rupee distributed. 10 divided by this. So what's the amount? 83. As I pay more and more, price increases when R is less than K. As I pay more and more, my price decreases when R is greater than K. When R equal to K, it means the firm is earning at the same rate as that of investors. So therefore, it doesn't matter to the investors whether the firm retains the money or gives it in the form of dividend. So therefore, when R is equal to K, then the price of the share is remaining the same, 83 when payout ratio is 10%, 83 when the payout ratio is 80%, 83 when the price is payout ratio is 60%. So R greater than K, pay less and less dividend. You pay less and less dividend, you get higher and higher price. You pay less and less dividend, price higher and higher. R less than K, as you pay more and more dividend, price of the share increases. R equal to K, whether you pay dividend higher or lower, doesn't make any impact, the price remains the same. And same is the case here. We'll stop with this example because most of what we do in terms of the problems that we encounter typically in university examination is basically substitution. So what we require is you need to basically know how to interpret it. Okay, so therefore here they have given a situation where R is 10% and E is 40 rupees. This question mark is rupee symbol. Somehow the system here doesn't seem to show that this is R. Wherever you see question mark, it's basically the rupee symbol. And now we have a situation here. Dividend payout ratios are changing 20 to 80 and the retention ratio will be the opposite of that, that is 80 to 20. Cost of equity when dividend payout ratio is 20 is 20%, when dividend payout ratio is 40 is 18%, when dividend payout ratio is 60 it is 16%, when the dividend payout ratio is 80% the cost of equity is 14%. This is the data and we have substituted that in this equation. P is equal to A into 1 minus P divided by Ka minus Pr. We are using this equation over here. Okay. So let's look at one situation. E is equal to 1 minus B divided by Ka minus Pr. So dividend payout ratio is 20%, means what? Retention ratio is 80%, or B is equal to 0.8. And R, what is R? R they have given 10%. Okay. So therefore we have calculated here dr. B is 0.8 into 0.1, this is 0.08. We substitute that in this equation. Earning is 40 rupees. 1 minus B, B is 0.8 divided by KE. Okay, divided by KE. KE has been given here. Okay, KE for first situation is given here 20%. That's what I have taken 0.2 minus BR. BR we have calculated as 0.08, and therefore when we substitute that we get 40 into 1 minus 0.8 is 0.2. 0.2 into 40. 0.2 into 40. Then we have got 0.2 minus 0.08, which is equal to 0.12. 40 into 0.2 is 8. 8 divided by 0.12 is 66.67. So what is this situation? This situation is the first one, when the dividend payout ratio is 20% and therefore retention ratio is 80% and cost of capital is 20. Let's look at the second situation. Here dividend payout ratio is 40. So therefore what's the retention ratio? 60. I retain 40% of my, I pay 40% of my earnings, means I retain 60% of my earnings. Okay. So the cost of equity is 18. Let's look at that situation. Cost of equity is 18. We have substituted here 0.18 KE minus BR. BR we have calculated. P is dividend payout ratio is 40%, means retention ratio is 60% or 0.6. What is BR? 0.6 into cost of capital is 10. So therefore 0.6 into 0.1, the value is 0.06. BR is 0.06. This is E, 40 rupees. 1 minus B, B is 60 or 0.6. That's what we have substituted here. Divided by KE. Okay, KE is 18%, which we saw here. For the second situation, cost of equity is 18%, which we have substituted here. Minus BR, we have calculated here 0.06. So I substitute here 40 into 1 minus 0.6. 1 minus 0.6 is 0.4 and 0.18 minus 0.06 is 0.12. So when I substitute 40 into 0.4 is 16 divided by 0.12, price is 133.33. Next situation. What's the next situation? Next situation, dividend payout ratio is 60%. So dividend payout is 60%, means retention is 40%, or B is equal to 0.4. What is KE? KE is 16 for situation C. Okay, so that's what we have substituted here. KE is 16 or 0.16. BR we are calculating. B is 40%, it means 0.4. What's our R? R is 10% or 0.1. 0.4 into 0.10 is 0.04. What is 0.04? It is BR. Okay. We have substituted that here. Okay. KE minus BR. KE is 0.16 and BR we have calculated here 0.04. 40 into 1 minus 0.4. 1 minus 0.4 is 0.6. 40 into 0.6 is 24. Okay. Here we have done 0.16 minus 0.04 is 0.12. Okay. 24 by 0.12 is 200. Okay. Last one. Last one is we have got 80% payout ratio. 80% payout ratio means retention is 20% or 0.2. B is 0.2. B is 0.2. And K is 14. K is 14 means 0.14. And that 0.14 we have substituted over here. Okay. B is equal to 0.2. Okay. B is equal to 0.2. This is 20% or 0.2 in decimal, it is 0.2. That's what we have substituted. 0.2 into R is 10% or 0.1. 2 into 0.1 is 0.02. 0.02 is what? dr. dr is here. I have substituted that here. Okay. 0.02. E is 40 rupees and 1 minus B. 1 minus B. 1 minus B is how much? 0.2. 1 minus 0.2 divided by KE. KE we have seen, once again we are seeing here for situation D, cost of equity is 14% or 0.14. We substituted here. If you substitute, it becomes 40 into 1 minus 0.2 divided by 0.14 minus 0.02. 40 into 0.8 is 32. 0.14 minus 0.02 is 0.12. So the final thing is 32 divided by 0.12, 266.67. Now this is about calculation. Okay. This is more of calculation. Let's look at the impact that we are talking about. Now here retention ratio is 80%. Here the retention ratio is 60. Retention ratio is 40. Retention ratio is 20. So as I move from left to right, I am retaining less and less. Okay, here I am paying 20, now paying 40, now paying 60 or now paying 80. That means as I move from left to right, I am paying more or retaining less. Okay. Now what is happening is the firm is a firm with R equal to 10%. Okay. R is 10%. What is the cost of equity? The cost of equity is always 20, 18, 16, 14. All these values of cost of equity are higher than that of 10%. Which means this is R less than KE firm. This is R less than KE. The firm is earning at a rate much lower than that of the investors. Investors are capable of earning at these rates. Okay, 20, 18, 16, 14. Now, once we are in this situation, R less than KE, what does the theory say? When you are earning at a rate less than that of investors, it is best to distribute as much as possible as dividend. Okay. So, R less than KE is a situation for a declining firm. The declining firm doesn't have many investable opportunities. So, what it should do? It should actually distribute more and more to the investors such that the investors can earn higher return. So, here let us see R less than KE. The theory says you should distribute as much as possible. Let us see. We are dividend payout ratio is 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%. That means from left to right when I am going, I am paying more and more dividend. What about price? 66, 133, 200, 266. It means when R less than K, as you pay more and more dividend, the price of the share becomes higher and higher. And therefore, that is the impact that the theory is talking about. To give a summary of what we have done, we'll see in the next session maybe one more problem, but to give a summary of this, let us quickly go to a summary. These are all the assumptions. What are the assumptions? No debt. All the money that is required for the firm are got from the earnings of the firm. There is no external financing. The earning of the firm R remains constant. The cost of capital of the firm remains constant. R is constant, K is constant. Then the firm is a firm which is believed to exist for a long period of time. That's what we call as growing concern concept in accounting. Okay. So whenever we draw our balance sheet, we assume that the firm is going to exist for long period of time or for perpetuity, and therefore it will earn for perpetuity. That's the assumption. There are no corporate taxes. It doesn't consider, it doesn't say that we have no taxes, it doesn't consider. Constant retention ratio, KE greater than G. This KE greater than G is an assumption of this particular model. And this is also assumption. Growth rate is equal to B into R. B is retention ratio and R is earnings of the firm. Now, this particular summary thing will give a quick look at this model. What is this policy? This is a policy. Whenever we have theories are of two kinds. One is a theory which says that the policy is relevant, the dividend policy is relevant. Then there are theories which say dividend policies are not relevant. Our Gordon model says dividend policy is relevant. Okay, And Walter model also says dividend policy is relevant. MM model says dividend policy is not relevant. And it is given by this formula EPS into payout ratio, 1 minus payout ratio. This is wrong. 1 minus B. 1 minus B is payout ratio, K minus G. Okay, relationship. When R greater than K, price per share decreases as you pay more and more. Okay. When R less than K, price per share increases as you pay more and more, like the previous example. When R equal to K, whether you pay more dividend, less dividend has no influence. We are indifferent. Okay. These are the assumptions. No debt, no external financing, constant IRR, constant constant cost of capital, perpetual earning, no corporate taxes, constant retention ratio, KE greater than G, and so on. Now, what are the criticisms for this model? The criticism is the assumptions of constant IRR is untenable in practice. So, no firm can earn at the same rate as it is earning at a particular point of time. For example, if you consider the IT companies like Infosys or TCS, or let's say that retail giant, our DMart, whatever it is earning maybe 3 years, 4 years ago, it cannot sustain that kind of earning over a long period of time. So therefore, constant IRR assumption is a theoretical assumption. It has no practical relevance. Cost of capital also is not same. So assumption here, what's the assumption? Assumption is constant cost of capital. Cost of capital goes on increasing or decreasing. As of today, the cost of capital is decreasing. Maybe a few years ago, the cost of capital was very high. That means that the cost of capital changes, and no external financing. There are very few firms. There are less number of firms which have zero debt than the firms which have debt. Okay. So if you take Indian example, one of the company which is very large but doesn't have a debt with it, maybe an HUL. Okay. So many IT companies have zero debt, but otherwise most of the companies use both debt as well as equity capital. So therefore that is a criticism. So what's the realistic assumption? What should have been the realistic assumption? That IRR keeps on changing, capital cost keeps on changing, and the firms use both debt and equity capital. When R equal to R greater than K, what you should do? R greater than K, you are earning at a rate more than the cost of capital, you should pay less and less dividend. Okay, if you pay less and less dividend, the the investors will pay better off. When R equal to K, whether you pay dividend or you retain the amount of earnings that you do, it has no relevance. R equal to K, you can pay or not pay. When R less than K, you are earning at a rate less than what investors can earn on their own. So in which case, better you distribute dividend. So when R less than K, distribute as much as possible the dividend such that price of share is increasing. When R greater than K, pay less and less of dividend. When R equal to K, dividend policy, payout policy is irrelevant. We may see one more example or few examples in the next session.